I think having an unhealthy relationship with your body and how you nourish your body is potentially very harmful. I think actually getting too caught up in the rigidity and creating or contributing to a mental illness is a much bigger concern.
Welcome to Zestful Aging, the podcast where we celebrate aging with vibrance and we defy the stereotypes of what it means to age. I'm your host, Nicole Christina, a psychotherapist of more than 30 years, here to introduce you to my off-the-mainstream guests who will energize and inspire you. My hope is to create optimism about getting older and help you cultivate zest and joy in this season of your life. And I love to hear feedback from you, my listeners. Please drop me a line at zestfulaging@gmail.com. I read every single comment. And to find out more about this podcast, hop on over to zestfulaging.com. Well, you may have noticed that getting older isn't exactly celebrated in our culture, especially if you're a woman. And because our worth is still determined largely by our physical appearance, aging often leads to a feeling of invisibility and worse. It can be a very difficult transition, especially for those who have received a lot of attention for their looks. And we're all aware that these fears of being discarded are exploited by companies selling us everything from wrinkle cream to products promising to rid us of our menopause middle. We're so used to being told that aging is problematic that some of us don't even notice it anymore. It's really the water that we're swimming in. Our guest today is Deb Benfield. She is a registered dietitian and she calls out the toxic messages of anti-aging and diet culture. And she wants us to stop fighting our bodies so we can make room for vitality and, dare I say, zest. Her new book, Unapologetic Aging, challenges the idea that our bodies are projects to be constantly improving. And these are radical concepts, so get ready to be challenged. Welcome to the show, Deb.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to talk to you and to engage with your community.
That's wonderful. My community has heard versions of this. Some of we have some colleagues in common, Tracy Gendron, Margot Main, Julie Duffy, Ashton Applewhite, all really getting at this through their own lens. But your work is about challenging what we've been told and what we've been told about our bodies, specifically around aging. Right. And this idea that we're so brainwashed that, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it's like we don't even realize the trance that we're living in. I'm wondering, are you having luck in helping people break this trance and see more clearly?
I have been doing this work for 40 years and around eating disorder recovery and like weight neutral care. And then when I turned 60, which was 7 years ago, I really pivoted to focus on midlife and beyond. And since the book has been out, as you said, since December, and so I've been doing book talks and podcasts and such. When I am out and in a room with mostly women, there are some men. I have more men in my caseload than ever before, so men are affected just in a very different way, as you said, from the top. I continue to be amazed. And also, I must say, so many comments and messages on my Substack, which is also Unapologetic Aging, I am amazed at the people, mostly women, who are saying that they were so ready to hear this message. I do think there's a very interesting shift, a potential opening in our culture post Epstein files. I think women are enraged and waking up to the fact that not only have we been conditioned, heavily conditioned, to believe that we should have a fat belly, a flat stomach, for example, that we have been groomed. And I use that word because it's the word that I think applies. When we recognize that those who have been selling us this very narrow body ideal are sick. That this is it's from a very unwell place. And
I think about even Chinese foot binding.
Yes.
I mean, it's got
yes.
it seems to me coming from a similar place.
Yeah. Very oppressive.
Corseted.
Yes. And once maybe it's just me and like my algorithm feeding me what I want to see. But I think there is a shift about. I think there are women who are ready for this message, that they're ready to engage in their lives in a way that expands and gives us more space around our definitions of beauty and body and aging in a way that allows for more pleasure, allows for more rest, allows for more sexuality and connection with body image and regulating our nervous systems in a different way in the bodies we're in. I think it's a very potentially powerful time. Of course, it's a very hard time in our culture.
It's a hard time. And, I'm thinking of good news, bad news, because what you're
bizarre.
saying is, hey, we can be free, but then you're looking at a woman, I'm generalizing, who has spent 60 years possibly dieting. And that's how you open your book, with these testimonials saying, I went to Weight Watchers with my mother when I was in elementary school, and coming to terms with the grief and anger and all of those kind of feelings of, what have I been wasting my life on?
Yes. I mean, there's no question. It is complex, and there are losses to face and grief to feel and process. And I think there's an opening on the other side of that. I think letting go of the narrow and the contained invites this capacity that we haven't had before. It can be a time of emergence, which is my book is laid out into 3 sections. The first section is this untangling that you're talking about, like we're recognizing that we're all tangled up in diet culture, wellness culture, longevity medicine, and anti-aging messages oppressively.
And one of the big, I'm sorry to interrupt, I just get very, one of the big longevity docs is in the Epstein files.
Yes. Yeah. Glad you're talking about that. I certainly talk about that. There's no question. This is all, you can't stop seeing it once you see it, that this is a very unwell, toxic culture that we're in, and to adjust to that makes us sick. So to untangle ourselves from these toxic messages that we have been swimming in and haven't, like, why would you challenge this? It goes unchallenged until you challenge it, which is what the book is about. And then the middle of the book is about the healing, the mending process. And then the third part is about the exciting potential for emergence and like mending potential damage to other generations behind us and ahead of us. That multi-generational body shame piece is also essential. So there's a lot to talk about here today.
Mhm. What are the effects? I mean, this is maybe not a fair question, but in a few minutes, what are the effects for those of our listeners who have not, they may have sort of an inkling, yeah, this doesn't seem like it's really helpful, and why do I have to keep going on the same diet, and what's going on? And they're starting to get an inkling, maybe this isn't really it for my benefit. Maybe this is somebody else's agenda. What are the
Mhm.
costs of living uh, in a way that doesn't is not aware or doesn't recognize what
Yeah.
diet culture and I want to talk more about the wellness culture because that's a whole nother
Yes.
and
Yes.
the whole thing. Yeah, but well, I have a
Yes.
lot to say about that. But
Yes.
what
Yes.
are the costs, if you could summarize? And again, it's a big question. What are the costs of living unconsciously in this world as a woman, a postmenopausal woman? What does it do to us?
Well, I think you're right. That is a huge question, and we could
Mhm,
spend the entire time talking about this.
mhm,
I think there are several different types of costs. One cost is to be fractured from the connection to your body that you likely were born with. That our bodies have capacity for regulating, if we listen, regulating our appetites, our energy outlay. We have cravings that are wise. And diet culture makes us feel like all of the cravings that we have, the hunger that we experience, are even like pathological. Like, I have so many stories to tell about clients that have been told that they have a problem because they can't control their cravings. They have a problem because they are hungry. Like, I believe that in and of itself is so incredibly disempowering and fracturing you from your body and making you look at your body as an object
and as an
to constantly
enemy.
manage. Yeah, as an enemy, as a project to constantly manage. The
Mhm,
managerial, like to optimize, to work on your body constantly, leaves you with feeling you're never enough. You always should be doing more.
mhm,
So it's disempowering. It creates great amounts of self doubt. You can't trust yourself, which to me is in the middle of mental health. It's the capacity to trust yourself and your instincts.
mhm.
It is harmful beyond words that I can find to answer your question.
Mhm, yeah, I mean,
And
some of it is hard to put into words, and the other
yeah,
piece is, if I'm counting my grams of whatever, fill in the blank, I'm not working on getting really cool podcast guests, reading really great literature, travel. I am my energy and my focus and my life's work is so diminished.
yes, yes. Most of my clients tell me when they do this work, they have access to their creativity, access to
Mm,
energy to live with their true values, live out of their true values in alignment with that, which is also like that integration is also a big marker for being well and having a sense of well being. And I think midlife invites that anyway. Midlife invites us to go, okay, I'm in a place that I see that I have limited time in
mhm,
front of me. It's time for me to get clear on what my values are and decide how I want to sell this ship and how much time and energy do I want to spend on this project of making my
mhm,
body fit this narrow idea. I mean, we are also in a very hard time because of the GLP-1s and the conversation
yeah,
around the extreme thinness and what we're being shown as the ideal is in some ways so ridiculous that it's helpful because we recognize that these ideals aren't for us any longer. They in my opinion, when I see, and I'm not going to say a person's name, but I think you'll know, like when I see what's being shown as a success story, and I am not hooked by that because it looks frail and hungry and unwell to me. It looks like nothing I want anything to do with.
But
I
it's
want a
sold,
fuller life.
but it's sold as wellness. And that's, I think that makes it so tricky,
You're
right?
right. You're right. Sure.
Could you
Yeah.
talk the thing that as I read your book, of course I'm like, oh yeah, all the way through. The thing that I thought for me was uh, a little bit newer in my world of working, or something I want to pay more attention to, is this wellness industry.
Yes.
And
Yes.
you
Yes.
call
Yes.
this out. It's like, what do they call it? A fox in lamb's clothing or something like
Yes.
that.
Absolutely.
Talk about,
Yes.
people are like, this is great. We want to be healthy. We have to
Mm-hmm.
watch our weight. We have to do 10,000 steps, which is another scam. We know we have to
Mm-hmm.
do this. We have to eat avocado all day long. We have to, all
Mm-hmm.
this stuff. Could you talk about how it's one thing not to diet, but it's another thing to get really
Mm-hmm.
hooked into what we
Mm-hmm.
think we're doing for longevity and our
Mm-hmm.
wellness?
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you. As you say, I speak about this because I think the longevity medicine and wellness culture conversation is slippery and seductive because, of course, we want to feel well. Of course, we want to live longer. Of course, we want to have more of a health span. I'm making air quotes.
Mm-hmm.
That's very seductive. And as we enter midlife and older, we experience potentially like lab values that are starting to be a concern for our healthcare folks to, be showing us our red flags, getting new diagnoses, having family members that are becoming ill, and our friends. I mean, people are experiencing health anxieties and worries at this time in life. So, of course, we're vulnerable to these messages, and it's hard not to fall for the promise that we can actually control our experience. I think that is an illusion. I think we can do some things. Yes, I'm not saying. The reason I wrote this book, the whole middle section, is about finding that middle place that's very messy for all of us, where you do choose to nourish your body and care for your body and move, in addition to allowing pleasure, in addition to feeling like you're playful. So it's the rigidity, the extreme nature of the things that are recommended in the longevity books and podcasts that tend to be driven by men, white men. There are also some women involved. I don't think we're going to use names about that either, but this is where we get into the menopause industry. There's a menopause gold rush where people are selling gadgets and supplements and devices. It's hard to be a woman in an aging body. The target is on our backs for selling us everything, all rooted in fear, all rooted in fear mongering. So once we're afraid, we're great consumers, right? That sells many products and programs and supplements.
And we have
So,
money. I mean, our generation,
yeah,
particularly women, have
yeah,
resources.
yes. So the reason I wrote my book is to protect us, to have a place where we, yes, can be informed and intentional about how we care for our bodies,
Mm,
but also not get hooked by the extremes and get caught up in our heads with counting everything,
mm.
because that's a slippery slope.
Oh
I
boy.
see people, relapse because of the old fears and the old patterns emerge because they get caught in counting macros or something new. They feel like, well, I'm not counting calories like I did when I had my eating disorder, but I'm counting my protein grams. And it's very slippery. You can get just as obsessive and rigid and caught up in getting in your head and being in the project mode, the optimization
The fixing.
language,
The
the
fixing.
fixing, their surveillance is,
Mm.
we forget the mental health aspect. We lose the, what I think is, like, I don't get, what's the point if you're obsessive and anxious and isolating yourself because you're wanting to be perfect with your diet again? I mean, we miss out on the mental health piece. I have said this and gotten quite the look from colleagues and friends when I say I prioritize mental health. I want us to be living a more expansive, spacious life, that we're present and enjoying ourselves, because this is precious. This is a precious chapter. So I think there's a middle place to be found, and that's why I wrote the book, to say, yes, we can nourish and move and rest and be in community as best we can to, support our well-being
Mhm.
and not get caught up in these old rigid patterns that were sold by wellness and longevity.
Hey, hey, Zesties. Well, I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one feeling tense and anxious these days. Every day it seems like there's more scary news. Well, I've been a psychotherapist for over 34 years and I've learned a lot of techniques to help manage anxiety, and I've been using them. But recently I found something new that I wanted to tell you about. I actually just stumbled upon it at an event for veterans. It's a little breathing device called Calm Ego. And when you're breathing in a way that promotes relaxation, which is basically long exhales, it lights up. And you can add a calming scent if you like. So, Calm Ego is a natural, portable, drug free solution that can be used in moments of upset, anxiety, and stress. And it's effective and pretty unique. And you can use it for both immediate relief and also long-term effectiveness. So I love that you don't have to think about the breathing, you don't have to count, you don't have to imagine a square. You really don't have to do anything. It does all the work for you. I find it to be especially helpful before bedtime, and I'm pretty excited about it. So I'm partnering with Comigo to offer you a 25% discount if you use the coupon code Zestful at when you're cashing out on the site, which is Calm Ego, CalmIgo.com. And please let me know about your experience. I will be interested to hear. Thanks. You just said something that was so profound. I wanted to go back to it. You said it's hard to be I think a postmenopausal woman in an aging body, and that's the truth here. And there's
Yeah,
really no getting away from it. And how you use the word seductive, how great is it to be able to take a supplement that gets rid of our agingness? Or,
right.
how great would it be
Yeah,
to not have lines on our faces when we know that this party ends? These are
yeah,
the precursors of the last, perhaps, third of our life, and we have to come to terms with our own mortality.
absolutely.
Who wants to do that?
I mean, it's real pros and cons, right? It's like
Right.
getting very clear with yourself about, like, in a day, how do I want to spend my energy? I mean, that's what it
Mm,
comes down to. I was going on a walk with a friend and we laughed and giggled most of the time because we were talking about all the things we thought we should be doing
mm.
because it will take over your life if you do all of the things, right? It becomes laughable. It's very out of control these days.
And there's
People
so
feel like it's
many
never
things.
enough.
It's
There's so many things, so many aspects of our lives that we should be working on.
Mhm.
Like we lose the fun. I mean, I'm a big fan of keeping the playfulness and the pleasure in this process because it's a joy kill otherwise.
I love that. Is it ever? It just sucks the joy out
Yeah,
of, even if you're eating something on the bad list, whatever that is for you, you
yeah,
can't even enjoy it because you're thinking, oh, this probably has white sugar in it. This probably, was
yeah.
whatever. And it's such a, I use the word again, diminished way to live. And at the end of
Mhm,
our
mhm.
lives, do we want to say, I didn't eat any white sugar or flour? That's what we want?
And to what end? I mean, I think there are also exaggerations and lies being told by the wellness culture and longevity medicine because I personally don't believe white sugar is the villain. I don't think it's going to be what we need to be afraid of. I think having an unhealthy relationship with your body and how you nourish your body is potentially very harmful. I
Mhm.
think actually getting too caught up in the rigidity and creating or contributing to a mental illness is a much bigger concern.
Or just living, in a marinating in your own shame and self
Yeah,
hatred and self
yeah,
rejection. That
yes,
has an impact in my way of thinking. That's just not like, "Oh, that's too bad." I mean, that has an
yeah,
impact on your entire body and how
yeah.
you show up in the world.
Well, we do know that stigma around weight contributes to harm, biological harm in
Mhm.
our bodies. And I don't think the research has been done on age and ageism, but stigma is stigma. And we experience those things when our bodies are other than what, for example, a healthcare provider thinks we should be.
Mhm.
So you talked to Tracy and Ashton, so you've heard those statistics, but
Mhm.
ageism is very harmful
Mhm.
and does great damage, especially in healthcare.
So, Deb, let's get a little bit sort of nuts and boltsy for a minute. And what I'd love for you to do is sort of take me through a day where somebody finds this middle ground. So that
Mm,
means they're not just on Facebook, binging or,
mm,
eating mindlessly, um,
mm.
or whatever that looks like. What is the middle ground where there's not the rigidity of, oh, I can't eat sugar, I have to eat a carrot instead, or whatever. You wake up in the morning, you have a breakfast. What does that look like on just any given day?
Yeah. I want to be very careful with this because I believe strongly that all bodies are worthy and all kinds of foods. I don't demonize food. And I
Mhm,
think we all can age. I want to contribute to us all feeling like we can age the way we would like to age. And
mhm,
what kind of behaviors support you in feeling like you are aging the way you want to age. So I don't
Mhm.
want to project what I think is right, again, air quotes. So I'm just saying I have a lot of
Mm.
feeling of caution around
And
answering
and
this
it might
question.
be not a great question. Maybe the question is, what do I wanna do today that brings me joy?
I mean, I love a morning inventory where you check in with yourself and
Mhm.
say, like, how am I going to care for myself today? How am I? A
Mm.
lot of my clients are under eating and undernourished
Okay.
for lots of reasons because they're caught in diet culture and because they're just simply not noticing themselves. They're orienting around others and the to-do list. So they lose touch with themselves through their lives. So bringing yourself back into connection to yourself and to get curious about how you want to sail the ship that day. How am I going to nourish myself and make sure I have food? I'm a big fan of looking at your day and making sure you have access, making sure you have like pack snacks is my favorite mantra. It's like
Mhm.
making sure you don't get too hungry is really important.
Beautiful.
Getting too hungry will cause problems in lots of different ways. So staying nourished usually means eating every 4 to 5 hours. And as a dietitian, the word balance is a funny word because it's been co opted by diet culture too.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, mostly, nourishing your body with what satisfies and supports you
Mhm.
usually actually means some protein, some carb, and some fat. And,
Mhm.
it includes like the big food groups. And those two pieces, not getting too hungry and focusing on being satisfied, are, in my worldview, central. I think moving your body is also a daily invitation. It could
Mhm.
be it could be a 5-minute dance party in your
Mhm.
kitchen. It could be going for a hike. It could be doing some yoga. It could be, strength training is all the talk. I I like a mix of a variety of things. I just want them to feel playful as much as possible. And I don't know if strength training can feel playful, but it can feel empowering. It can feel like you are supporting yourself. And it doesn't have to be a big thing. Again, I'm a big fan of small things.
Mm.
The things that you will continue to do, the things that you will want to do again tomorrow,
Pleasure.
pleasure. I mean, the things that invite you back.
I
Like,
love this. Oh my gosh, I love this so much. I'm kind of outing myself here, but I really wanted to do Tai Chi, and I just looked at all of the places in town and the great places and who's recommended. All I know how good it is. Well, I went to my first class and I thought I would so much rather be on the pickleball court. This is just not me. I'm more of a bouncy,
okay.
hyper, and
Yep.
I just was like,
Yep.
"Oh, and I also wish I was a camper, but I'm terrible at camping too." But at this age, you kinda can fight reality. That's
Right.
not who you are. So,
Right.
mm, uh, learn by my experience, like, if it doesn't feel inviting, I love your word, there's a lot of things out there to choose from.
Yes. I mean, there's all this strong data now that dancing is like the number one recommended choice for brain
Yes,
health. It makes me so happy because
yes.
I've had a kitchen dancing playlist for decades. I think I encourage my clients to like, can you turn on music that you cannot not dance to, right?
Oh,
Your
gosh.
body feels invited into movement as you're getting dressed in the morning, as you're preparing dinner. I mean,
Oh,
doing a
wow.
little shimmy shimmy as you go. It can be a beautiful thing. And it
And that's
invites
the
joy back
metaphor.
in.
That's the
Yes.
metaphor, right? Instead of
Yes.
like how many planks and how long can you hold this plank?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
That's a beautiful metaphor.
That's how I feel. that's that's
Mm,
that's how I roll. Yes.
mhm.
And
So
there let me just say this is not that simple. People, and I write about this in the book too, there's resistance to movement because we've so coupled and associated movement with weight. So things that we feel like are a waste of time because we don't burn calories, are hard, or just starting to approach movement again because there's been healing from an eating disorder or chronic dieting. Like there's a protective part of you that's like, if I approach this, I will lose myself again, right? It's very protective. So the resistance to movement is real. I respect it.
mhm,
I honor it and stay curious and take small, playful steps toward movement that is inviting. And
mhm,
there are a lot of folks that just feel excessive, feel like they must be doing more and more and more. Nothing's ever enough. So we have these bookends of extremes that are not necessarily, it's not easy to just move, right? What I'm saying is like it's a complicated part of our
yes,
lives
yes,
sometimes.
there's history there for sure.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, you have such a compassionate view, I think, for people who have struggled in all different realms, and you say to yourself, "Look, I don't know what that's like."
Yeah,
But I'm with you, I hear you, and I'm trying to understand. That's
yeah,
really threaded through the book. And the other part of your book that's different is you ask people, really respecting that this is not easy. You pause and you say, let's just take a breath here.
hmm,
Let's take a little scan. Let's take a body scan. And I think that is very respectful of how radical this
hmm,
is. It's so radically different than many of us, our lived experience. Was that something you thought about from the get go when you were writing? I'm going to do these little, come into the present and
yeah.
exercises.
Well, my work is about healing relationship. I'm very relational, healing relationship with body. And I'm a yoga teacher, and I've done a lot of training around somatic
Mm,
process with eating disorder recovery. And I think there are a lot of people with more disorder in their relationship with their body and trauma, plenty of trauma,
mm-hmm,
that I think this is potentially triggering and hard work, even conversation. I don't think you can do the healing and the mending without the body piece. You can't heal body from your head. You have to get in your body, which is not always safe.
mm,
I creating as much safe felt sense of safety in the body invites capacity for this conversation, capacity for checking in, capacity for being curious about your own thoughts and experiences. And that's where the mending happens. So
mm-hmm,
I think it was just my sense of my own body as I was writing. I had to fight for it. My first person that I had to read the book hated the pauses and really wanted me to take them out. And I said, no, I,
mm-hmm.
my, my instinct is clear that I need to keep these. So I hope they're helpful because
Yeah, you're walking your walk, right? You're listening to what is important for you. It's your book, your
yes, yeah,
project. It occurs to me too, and I think you've heard this and know people who, we have an overlapping world here, ecosystem. But in a way, it's such a beautiful time to opt out of this because
perfect
there is
time.
just no way you can fight biology. And Ashton Applewhite is so great at talking about
Yes,
this. It's like, I could put all the filler in my face and I'm going to look
Yes.
just like a freak. I'm not going to look younger. I'm going to look like a freak. And I don't have the time or interest or energy to dye my hair. I used to do it. I'm not interested. And I think as we really get in touch with this is the last third of my life for many of us. And you say, what am I going to spend my energy on today? It's really ripe to take back, our power and say, I don't want to wear anything that has to be ironed. I just want to spend time in my garden and with my dogs and
Yeah.
whatever it is. It really, if we can see it as that invitation, like you are never going to be younger than you are today. Now
Right.
what? Now what?
Right. Yeah. Well said. Yeah. I also just have to say that I also have a lot of respect for people having their own bodily autonomy and their own choices about how they want to age. I think all of us, no matter if we are going to do a lot of procedures to look a certain way, I want all of us to realize that we still get to age the way we want to age. I just really, really want to invite everybody to understand how they've been conditioned
Mm-hmm.
and to get curious about why they feel like they need to do whatever the procedure is to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want people to be curious about the potential that they've been conditioned to believe is the thing to do. And if you still, through your conditioning, curiosity and inquiry, still want to do the thing, yes, do the thing. If it makes you
Your eyes
happy,
wide open. Who
yes,
is this
yes,
benefiting?
yes. That's my big question.
Mm-hmm.
Who benefits from my fear? Who benefits from me thinking I should be thinner or appear younger? This is where I am with GLP-1s too. I want people to be fully informed.
Yes.
I want them to know all the big picture, the fact that it's a lifetime choice, the fact that belly fat doesn't have to be scary, that it can. I fully believe with all my heart in my own body that this new belly that I have that I didn't have before, that it's just arrived on the scene. It's just a shift in my body.
Yes.
That's how it feels,
Mm.
is protecting me and preparing me for my aging.
You talked about, I think you quoted someone and say it's a life
Yes.
preserver.
Yes, Margot Ming. Yeah, that's Margot.
Margo Main, who was on the show, and I've
Yeah.
known since day one, in being a clinician treating eating disorders back in the day. Following her and her work, she's
Yeah.
a real trailblazer.
No, I love her. I love her work. Yeah. And
So,
she
yeah.
tells the story that she learned the life preserver from a client. A client said that to her. It's like, my belly, I'm realizing my belly is my life preserver. And so then Margot has used that, and I think it's brilliant. And that's how I feel in my body. And once you feel like you trust your body, it inoculates you from all of the hate around having a belly that we're so exposed to.
You just called it out so hard. It is. It's a disdain for
Yes.
an aging body.
Yeah. And bellies. And women have bellies, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's part of the design.
Yeah, wow. And you have to be with your people to support one another through this, right? Because it's a hard
Yes.
fight on your own. Yeah.
And you have to set boundaries. You have to unfollow the kinds of accounts and podcasts and people that make you feel like you're not enough, you're not doing it enough, you're not doing right, you're not doing it right. All that feeling that arises from hearing those messages, trust that, take action, protect yourself, and setting boundaries with people, is a whole nother conversation.
Especially their family members, and
Yes,
I think
yes,
about, we have a lot of conversations before Thanksgiving. What are people going to
yes,
say? Oh, you're going to have
yes.
another piece of pie. I mean, all of this.
And the things that people say about other people, like, oh, she is not aging well. She is, oh, she's aging great. Look at her. She doesn't look a day over, blah, blah, blah. I bet she can still wear her, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's
Mm,
such an automatic conversation.
yes, it really, truly is. And these
Yes.
people, by and large, are not trying to be
No,
unkind. They're
no.
just speaking through the program, being programmed. It's
Yeah.
it's it's such important work that you're doing, and I agree,
Thank you.
particularly with the Epstein files, it has a whole new, uh, how shall I say, clarity, right? It has
Yeah,
a whole
absolutely.
everything is just come into focus in a different, more profound way, and I'm hoping that we use this opportunity to see,
Yeah.
what's in our best interest.
Yeah, I love what you said about opting out. This is a perfect time to go, you know what?
Mhm.
That's not what I'm about.
Mhm.
That's not how I'm gonna spend my time. Love
Yes,
that. Yep.
done with that. I've been there.
Done. Yep.
Yeah.
Done. Done is the word.
Done
Done.
is the word. Oh my
Done.
gosh.
So
Oh,
done.
I can't. I'll be thinking about this on my forest walk that I'm going on
Oh,
shortly,
nice.
and
Nice.
it just what's goodness. Goodness
Yes.
for me is walking near the
Mhm.
trees and not with looking at. I'm not looking at a step counter because that's not why I'm here. That sucks the joy out. I might put my hand on on the tree trunk, and I might
Yes.
notice, or we have any little spring buds coming out, and looking for birds.
Mhm.
But that seems very a very wholesome way of being healthy, right?
And I write a lot about how nature gives us reference for beauty. And
Mm,
when you said put your hand on the bark of the tree, I just immediately started thinking about how my hand looks like the bark on a tree,
mm,
and like how the process of aging, the process of the passing of time is an artist. Time is an artist. The beauty that arises if we can expand our definition of beauty, like we can see it when a tree has been exposed to decades of the elements. Our hands, the skin on our hands has been exposed to the same decades of the elements. And
mhm,
can we see the beauty? Can
mm,
we be even comfortable with what we see as signs of age and time?
mhm. Those age spots are
Yeah.
representative of hours on playing tennis with my friends and being in such a joyful, grateful state. And that's, I sort of see them as like little markers of, yeah, those are beautiful memories. So,
Yeah.
Deb, I feel like we could talk for hours
We
and
could.
hours,
We
and I'm
could.
so grateful for your book. I've recommended it to so many of my clients. In fact, I don't
Thank
often
you.
do this in between, but one client I just texted and say, "You must get this book." So
Thank
I
you.
was because the quote was something she had just said from,
Wow.
the way your book opens up. Where can people find out more about unapologetic aging and your work?
I am primarily on Substack and Instagram. My
Mhm.
Substack, you can find me through Unapologetic Aging or my
Okay.
name, Deb
Okay.
Benfield. And that's my website is also Deborah Benfield,
Okay.
Debra.
Okay.
And Instagram is Aging Body Liberation.
Okay.
But
Instagram.
if you Google my name, you'll find all of
Oh, you're
those.
fine. Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. And I know that you have groups because you talk about them.
Yes.
Are and
Yeah.
Are some of them virtual and joinable?
Yes. Oh, they're all
Oh.
virtual. I'm going
Ooh.
to be using the book as the content, and then we're going to, in the group,
Mm.
do the practices, more of an experiential group
Oh,
and
boy.
process. The community. I mean, as you've said,
Yes.
so many women feel like they're the only ones that
Mhm.
are opting out in their lives. And so finding community to support and not feel so alone in this process is really why I do groups.
Okay, well, I guess I hadn't put those two things together, and that is great to hear. I
Yeah.
am, I'm looking forward to, telling people about that. Thank you so much for your work, and,
Thank you for your podcast. I will be listening and sending people.
oh, yay, thank you. Yeah, I do a lot of things around just what we're talking about in different versions. I mean, your book, I
Absolutely.
think, brings these things together in a new way and with a different kind of clarity. But certainly, the guests that I have on are, as you can imagine, I get people who want to be on the show, and I know they haven't listened because they say we have these supplements, we
Yes.
have these creams, and I'm like,
Yes.
have,
Yep.
have you looked at the
I
description?
have.
Just
Yes.
on and on with the different
Yes.
creams and the different oils and the different
Yep.
this and that, and
Oh, uh-huh.
yeah, it's a little, it's sort of funny, but it gets also old after a while. Thank you so much,
Thank
Deb
you. Thank
Enfield,
you.
and
Loved it. Love
uh,
talking to you.
I will. I am a supporter, and I will be talking it up.
Thanks so much. Enjoy your forest walk.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us on Zestful Aging. If you like the podcast, please share it with some of your friends.
Our theme song is All I Did Was Wait for You by Kjartan Abel. Visit Kjartan-Abel, that's KJARTAN-Abel, ABEL.com to hear more of Kjartan's work. And our technical director is Stephen Litweiler.
And stay tuned next week for another interview with a fascinating and inspiring guest. See you then.